Tonight I'm going to be talking about the ultimate path of awakening, which is about letting go. And the process of letting go. And in a way, life itself is a whole series of acquisitions of acquiring love and acquiring relationships and acquiring things and acquiring success. You're always, acquiring things in this lifetime. And then we are faced with the challenge of having to let it go. Let each thing go, one at a time. And of course, the ultimate letting go is when we pass on away from this lifetime to wherever we go, whatever happens. So I decided to talk about this, last Friday, Thursday or something. And almost everybody that I care about is in some kind of crisis since then. People in my deep relationships. I can't even begin to tell you one thing after another that I found out about people I love this past few days. It's been crazy. Here's a story for you. A plane hit a patch of severe turbulence and the passengers were holding on tight as it rocked and reeled through the night. A lady turned to a minister who was sitting behind her and said, "You're a man of God, can't you do something about this?" He replied, "Sorry, I can't. I'm in sales, not management." So what is letting go? People have asked me, what is this? I don't know how to do it, right? And anybody here been practicing letting go? Right? Like every day? Yeah, just about every day. I love the example of letting go when we grab on and we hold on tightly to something. So right now, just take both of your hands and squeeze them tightly like you're holding on to something. With both hands, squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. You're not wanting to let it go. This is yours. You're clinging to it. If anyone else tries to get it, you're turning away and you're squeezing harder. And then what happens? Are your hands sore yet? Wallace won't even try it. Right? I know how it works. We've done this before, right? So what happens is sometimes we grab with this hand, then we switch to the other, and you can relax your hands now. And then we're holding with this hand until this hand gets tired, and then we put it in the other hand, and then we put it between our legs because our hands are, we're holding it with our legs, and we put it on our head, and we're just all over the place with this thing that we're trying to hold on to, whatever that is. Whether it's a relationship, or a memory, or a grudge, or a possession, or even how we expect our children to grow up. So holding on to things is exhausting. It's exhausting. But no one ever teaches us how to let go. And most of our parents, as good intentioned as they were, have not necessarily been good examples in teaching us how to let go. And letting go is not easy to do. Is that a song? Letting go is hard to do. I don't know, how does that go? Anyhow, we won't get into it. Letting go is hard to do. It can be very hard to do. And I don't want to minimize. I'm not going to sit up here and say, just let it go. Right? Ta-da! When I love somebody and I care about somebody, I suffer when they suffer. I hurt when they hurt. And if I don't hurt when they hurt, my heart's closed. I may not hurt to the level that they're hurting, But do we want to live a life with our hearts that are closed, contracted, protected, armored, or do we want to live a life with open hearts? That's a choice, each and every moment. So letting go doesn't mean we don't feel, right? It doesn't mean that we're not going to feel pain or sorrow or grief or hurt or fear. It just means that we're not going to be clinging to it tightly. We're going to let it pass in, do its job, pass out. Each one of these things that blow into our experience, to me, are a gift. Right? They're a gift. They're a gift to give us, to show us where we're holding on, what we need to let go of. What chamber in our hearts are closed that wants to open right now. And to me, the process of the pain that comes in, or the fear, or the anger, or the hurt, is the key to open that chamber. It's the key. It's not the demon. But what do we tend to do? Do we treat it like the gift? No, we don't. We demonize it. We push it away. We're like, you're bad, you're wrong, you need to go away. Right? So the first thing we want to do is see that, okay, this is a gift somehow. I may not have the resources to deal with it right now. I may have the resources to deal with it right now. But how can I hold this such that it's a gift? How can I see the gift that's here? So that's just a little perception change that I thought I might want to throw out there. And it's not always easy to see the gift. Sometimes we're like, why the hell is this happening? Right? I want anything and everything else to be happening right now but this. But this. So letting go is a process. Letting go is a process. We can't always just say, oh, let it go. And it goes away. Have anybody noticed that? What happens? I mean, sometimes we can. Sometimes we can just say, oh, let it go, and it goes. And that's because it's not that big of a deal for us. We can set it down, right? But usually it's a process. So here's the process. We see with mindfulness, we're using mindful awareness as our tool in our spiritual path. Without self-awareness, we don't have anything. Without self-awareness, we're just dead zombies walking around trying to live everyone else's expectations or some fictitious conceptual thought of who we need to be. We're not even grounded with who we actually are. So mindful awareness is the life. It connects us to the life of who we are, who we came here to be, whatever that is, right? So we need to be mindfully aware. And with mindful awareness, we see that there's some kind of pain showing up, contraction. All right, there's something to let go of, perhaps. Something. So then we say, oh, okay, I see what I'm holding on to. And then I set the intention to let it go, set it down, right? Okay. I'm going to set this down. Step 3. Thank you for sharing. I'm setting you down. Okay. So the fourth step is if it keeps coming back up, and it keeps coming back up, it's a strong one. It's not wanting to be set down. So then we go to step 5, which is our practice, our exploration practice. We want to see this clearly. We want to hold it with compassion. We want to look at all the different facets of this organism, this energy sphere that's coming here to be felt, to be heard. Yes?
You wrote see it clearly, and I saw the CL as a D. See it dearly. Which fits what you're saying really well.
See it dearly, clearly. That's great. See it dearly, because it is the gift, right? It's the deer that's come that wants to be felt, wants to be heard, wants to be seen. But it's not always easy. And because it's not always easy, sometimes we don't have the resources to deal with it, to see it clearly. Sometimes it's too painful to see clearly right then. So we might have to do some other practices, like forgiveness practices, or the titration where we go to something pleasant, go visit a friend, talk to someone we love, and then come back and feel the contraction, the pain, the hurt, the fear, whatever's there. And so we shore up our resources. Maybe we need a hot bath. Right? Who was it that someone told me the other day I need to go get in the hot tub? I said, I don't have a hot tub. Resources so that we can hold it clearly, be with it. Right? This is Thich Nhat Hanh, the famous Vietnamese Buddhist teacher. He says, let go of suffering. People have a hard time letting go of suffering. Out of fear of the unknown, they prefer suffering that is familiar. So sometimes we become habituated to our suffering. I had a lady that worked for me who was still complaining about her ex-husband, like he was the worst demon in the world. He abandoned her with 9 children. He did this, he did that. He was just a terrible guy, and I was like, she was in a lot of pain. She was crying when she's telling me about this. And I said, oh my goodness, how long ago did this happen? Like 40 years ago? 35 years ago? Something crazy. And I was like, you're still holding on to this? But she really loved it. She got juice. She juiced it. It was juicy for her. Right? Sometimes we get attached to our suffering. The Stockholm Syndrome, have you heard of that? Where we decide to fall in love with our captors and stay in a miserable situation because we're comfortable with it. We're used to it. Here's a church bulletin. It read, potluck supper Sunday at 5 p.m., prayer and medication to follow. That's what we just did, by the way. Medication. So when we meditate, we often will see the pain and suffering. So that's what we want to do. We want to see it clearly in our meditation practice. It'll come up. Anybody notice meditation things come up in their meditation that are suffering-wise? There's skillful letting go. There's unskillful letting go. There's wisdom that comes in skillful letting go. We have to let go of certain things like when the mind grabs hold of something negative and keeps chewing on it and chewing on it and chewing on it and chewing on it. Like that woman with her husband, ex-husband. Letting go of lustful desires, cravings, wanting mind, striving. Anybody here a striveaholic? No? Am I the only? Yeah, okay. Thank goodness I'm not alone. Letting go of desired outcomes. Letting go of control. Can I get a hella Buddha on that one? Jeez, oh Pete's. So, yeah, these are skillful when we're stuck in anger or judgment. You know, we see the suffering in that, and we have the intention of eventually letting go, but it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight either. It may have to take years, depending on how deep the wounds are. There's unskillful letting go. Unskillful letting go is choosing to bypass the seeing it clearly. I'm just going to pretend like this never happened, and then I'm going to take all my frustrations out on everybody else from now on, or I'm just going to hate the whole gender. Anybody ever done that? Or a certain kind of person, or whatever. No, that's unskillful. Unskillful is choosing to live in a make-believe world, or force our letting go by not feeling our grief that needs to be felt. Skillful, letting go of our stories. I could go on and on and on. Letting go of negative relationships, letting go of fear, letting go into the unknown is what we want to do eventually. But anyhow, this is Melody Beattie. Letting go doesn't mean we don't care. Letting go doesn't mean we shut down. Letting go means we stop trying to force outcomes and stop making people behave. It means we give up resistance to the way things are for this moment. It means we stop trying to do the impossible, controlling that which we cannot, and instead focus on what is possible, which usually means taking care of ourselves. And we do this with gentleness, kindness, and love as much as possible. We should, I was thinking I could put that up on every mirror that I have. Here's Woody Allen. I say this quote a lot. I'm not afraid of death. I just don't want to be there when it happens. So death is a natural part of life, this ultimate letting go. But our society doesn't know how to hold death in a way that's skillful or helpful. Our society doesn't honor death as this important part of life as birth is. Our society doesn't necessarily honor all the gifts that can arise during death. I know hospice and different things are now, there are a lot of practices that are bringing us into honoring death and the process of death, the process of grief. In Buddhist scripture, there are a lot of stories about the Buddha sitting at a student's bedside who's dying and giving them wise teachings, saying very wise things to them, telling them about all the wonderful gifts they had during their lifetime, thanking them for the ways that they were great teachers, or they were great examples, or they were very kind to people. So there's a lot of wonderful stories about how the Buddha gave instructions on telling people to recollect your good qualities when you're dying, recollect the good things you've done in your life while you're dying, send loving kindness to yourself while you're dying, send loving kindness to others, because it's very important to have a happy or at least peaceful state of mind while we die, instead of an agitated, resentful, or where we regret. We don't want to die with that state of mind. Because according to him, we bring whatever state of mind that we die with onto our next experience, whatever that's supposed to be. I really don't know. But working with death is our ultimate departure of letting go is an important part of our practice. It's a very important part of our practice. Every time we let go on the cushion, we're practicing letting go for the end. Every time we're able to let go of anger or hatred or fear, we are practicing letting go so that at the end we can let go of everything. We're going to suffer and we're going to grieve the loss of people we love. I don't know how we can't. The mind naturally, if you've noticed, the mind naturally despises change. Anybody notice that? It wants things to stay the same. No matter how much you do this practice, the mind automatically goes to, no, I don't like this. Frank Ostaseski, he wrote this great book called The 5 Invitations. This is a quote of his. Death is not waiting for us at the end of a long road. Death is always with us, in the marrow of every passing moment. A secret teacher hiding in plain sight, helping us to discover what matters most in life. When we're aware of our impending departure, we are alive, right? We start to, a lady that I've been teaching for a few years now called me last week, or I found out think it was last week or the week before, she's been given 6 to 9 months left to live. And she said, boy, I'm reading her post. She's loving the hummingbird, the hummingbird feeder and the sunshine and the beautiful sights right now. I'm sure I'm more brilliant to her now than ever before. So the 5 invitations. This is what Frank Ostaseski, he founded the Zen Buddhist Hospice Center, and he's worked for several years with dying people. And this is what he says in his book. If you want to read this book out here, it's a wonderful book on learning to die while we're still alive. And learning to be in the ever-present awareness of death in our life so that we can be fully alive in this moment. Here are the 5 invitations. Welcome everything. Push nothing away. Push nothing away. Keep our heart open to whatever the winds are blowing in right now. Bring your whole self to this experience. Bring your whole self. Right? Open your full self. My uncle got picked up at the Syrian border. And I'm very close to this uncle. I see him every Sunday. My family's Arab, but he went to go visit friends there. And he called frantically saying, they're accusing me of being a criminal. And now he's disappeared. We can't get any information. And people have gone there trying to find him. It's bad. We don't know if he's still alive. They may have killed him. Boy, my whole heart has been wide open. A lot of fear, a lot of just... And every so often I find myself shutting down, wanting to close it away because I don't know what's happening to my favorite uncle. He's 78, he's got type 2 diabetes, he's not in good shape, and he's been picked up by the most violent faction in Syria. Don't wait. Don't wait. What does that mean? Does that mean don't wait to feel it till later?
Don't wait to express your feelings.
Don't wait to express your feelings. Don't wait to be here, right? To grieve, to whatever needs to be felt. And find a place to rest in the middle of things. Find a place to rest in the middle of things. I find that my breath, deep breaths, help me to rest in the middle of things. Let's all take a deep breath together. Can you feel that? And just keep resting in the breath. If it gets too hard, I like to put my hand on my belly or chest and just find a place to rest in the middle of all of this. And the last thing he said to do is to cultivate a don't-know mind. Cultivate a don't-know mind. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when we're going to die, how we're going to die, who's going to go first, how we're going to handle it. We just don't know. So let's constantly cultivate a don't know mind. And this don't know mind helps us to keep our hearts open to whatever's happening. Keeping our hearts open to be alive. To be alive. And life is such a precious and vulnerable and sweet opportunity, right? We don't want to lose that. And yet it can be very difficult and painful, and that's why we have Sangha, to be here together, to support one another, to know that I might be up here today. I can support you if you're having a rough time. You might be up here, you can support me when I'm having a rough time. I told Scott I was having a rough time. He said, I'll lead the Sangha for you tonight. Go home. I was like, oh, see, that's so beautiful and sweet. So many gifts and in this room and in our practice and in our hearts. Yeah. So thank you for listening and being here tonight.